The United States is one of the world's most prosperous economies, with a gross domestic product that exceeded that of any other country last year. However, a vibrant economy alone does not ensure all residents are well off. In a recent study from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, U.S. states underperformed their regional counterparts in other countries in a number of important metrics that gauge well-being. The ECD's newly released study, How's Life in Your Region? Measuring Regional and Local Well-Being for Policy Making, compares 9 important factors that contribute to well-being. Applying an equal weight to each of these factors, 24/7 Wall Street rated New Hampshire as the best state for quality of life. Monica Brezzi, author of the report and head of regional statistics at the ECD, told 24/7 Wall Street considering different dimensions of well-being at the regional level provides a way to identify where are the major needs where policies can intervene. Brezzi said that, in some cases, correcting one truly deficient measure can, in turn, lead to better results in others. In order to review well-being at the regional level, the ECD used only objective data in its report, rather than existing survey data. Brezzi noted that current international studies that ask people for their opinion on important measures of well-being often do not have enough data to be broken down by region. For example, one of the 9 measures, health, is based on the mortality rate and life expectancy in each region, rather than on asking people if they feel well. Similarly, another determinant of well-being, safety, is measured by the homicide rate rather than personal responses as to whether people feel safe where they live. Based on her analysis, Brezzi identified one area where American states are exceptionally strong. All the American states rank in the top 20% of ECD regions in income, Brezzi said. Massachusetts, one of 24/7 Wall Street's highest-rated states, had the second highest per capita disposable household income in the nation, at $38,620. This also placed the state among the top 4% of regions in all ECD countries. However, the 50 states are also deficient in a number of key metrics for well-being. With the exception of Hawaii, none of the American states are in the top 20% for health or for safety across the ECD regions, Brezzi said. Minnesota, for instance, was rated as the 3rd best state for health, with a mortality rate of 7.5 deaths per 1,000 residents and a life expectancy of 81.1 years. However, this only barely placed Minnesota among the top third of all regions in the ECD. Similarly, New Hampshire, which was rated as the safest state in the country, and was 24/7 Wall Street's top state for quality of life, was outside the top third of all regions for safety. Across most metrics the 50 states have improved considerably over time. Only one of the 9 determinants of well-being, jobs, had worsened in most states between 2000 and 2013. Brezzi added that not only was the national unemployment rate higher in 2013 than in 2000, but this worsening of unemployment has also come together with an increase in the disparities across states. Based on the ECD study, How's Life in Your Region? Measuring Regional and Local Well-Being for Policy Making, 24/7 Wall Street identified the 10 states with the best quality of life. We applied an equal weight to each of the 9 determinants of well-being: education, jobs, income, safety, health, environment, civic engagement, accessibility to services and housing. Each determinant is constituted by one or more variables. Additional data on state GDP are from the Bureau of Economic Analysis, BEA, and are current as of 2013. Further figures on industry composition, poverty, income inequality and health insurance coverage are from the U.S. Census Bureau's 2013 American Community Survey. Data on energy production come from the Energy Information Administration, EIA, and represent 2012 totals. These are the 10 states with the best quality of life. 10. Wisconsin. Greater than employment rate, 74.8%, 9th highest. Greater than household disposable income per capita, $29,536, 23rd highest. Greater than homicide rate, 2.72 per 100,000 people, 15th lowest. Greater than voter turnout, 73.6%, second highest. Based on 9 distinct well-being measures, Wisconsin is one of the top states in the nation for quality of life. Like nearly all top-ranked states, Wisconsin's housing score was quite high. A typical home had 2.7 rooms per person. Additionally, nearly 3/4 of households had broadband internet access, both among the higher rates nationwide. Residents are also more politically active than people in a majority of states. The state reported a 74% voter turnout rate, better than almost every other state. 9. Washington. Greater than employment rate, 67.8%, 21st lowest. Greater than household disposable income per capita, $31,307, 16th highest. Greater than homicide rate, 2.55 per 100,000 people, 11th lowest. Greater than voter turnout, 65.6%, 16th highest. Nearly 4 in 5 Washington residents had broadband internet access last year, tied with New Hampshire for the highest rate in the country. Washingtonians also enjoy exceptional air quality and a relatively healthy environment. Just 4.1 milligrams of airborne dangerous particulate matter per cubic meter was recorded in the state, nearly the lowest level of pollution measured. Washington also leads the nation for renewable energy production, with more than 1,012 trillion BTUs produced in 2012, far more than any other state. 8. Maine. Greater than employment rate, 72.7%, 11th highest. Greater than household disposable income per capita, $28,333, 22nd lowest. Greater than homicide rate, 1.88 per 100,000 people, 8th lowest. Greater than voter turnout, 68.6%, 9th highest. Based on ECT metrics, Maine, which advertises itself as vacation land, is far more than merely a tourist destination. Like more than half of the best states for quality of life, Maine received a nearly perfect score for its housing. Maine homes had an average of nearly 3 rooms per person, more than all but one other state. Spacious households are likely favored by Maine residents as the state's long winter can keep people indoors for long periods. And while heating costs can be a burden, falling U.S. crude oil prices have considerably reduced the financial strain of buying home heating oil, which is more widely used in Maine than in any other state. 7. Massachusetts. Greater than employment rate, 71.3%, 14th highest. Greater than household disposable income per capita, $38,620, second highest. Greater than homicide rate, 2.62 per 100,000 people, 12th lowest. Greater than voter turnout, 70.8%, 4th highest. Only one state received a higher income score than Massachusetts. Last year, the state's per capita disposable income was $38,620, more than anywhere else in the United States except Connecticut, and among the top 4% of regions reviewed by the ECT across 28 countries. Massachusetts was also a top state for health, with one of the lowest mortality rates, as well as one of the highest life expectancies, at 80.5 years, in the country. However, compared to all country regions measured by the ECT, Massachusetts' score is barely in the top 40% for health. 6. Colorado. Greater than employment rate, 71.2%, 15th highest. Greater than household disposable income per capita, $30,999, 18th highest. Greater than homicide rate, 2.90 per 100,000 people, 17th lowest. Greater than voter turnout, 70.4%, 5th highest. Colorado residents are active participants in local and state politics, and they have among the best accessibility to services. More than 70% of eligible Coloradans participated in elections last year, among the higher rates in the nation. While Colorado's unemployment rate of 7.7% was not particularly good, its economy has grown relatively rapidly in the past 2 years. A report released earlier this year by the Colorado Secretary of State showed strong numbers of new business filings and predicted future employment gains. 5. North Dakota. Greater than employment rate, 81.8%, the highest. Greater than household disposable income per capita, $31,844, 12th highest. Greater than homicide rate, 2.99 per 100,000 people, 18th lowest. Greater than voter turnout, 63.9%, 19th highest. Large economic windfalls, like the recent oil boom in North Dakota, do not necessarily improve a state's well-being. A strong economy, of course, still has many benefits. North Dakota had the lowest unemployment rate nationwide, at just 3.3%. And 9.0% of the state's workforce was employed in the agriculture and mining industries, more than all but one other state. The energy boom has also led to exceptional growth rates. North Dakota's economic output has grown faster than that of any other state for several years. In addition to benefiting from an economic boom, North Dakota residents are relatively well educated. More than 91% of the state's labor force had completed at least secondary school last year, among the highest rates in the country. 4. Iowa. Greater than employment rate, 78.1%, 5th highest. Greater than household disposable income per capita, $30,164, 20th highest. Greater than homicide rate, 1.38 per 100,000 people, 2nd lowest. Greater than voter turnout, 69.4%, tied, 6th highest. The ECD rated Iowa better than all but a few states for its jobs, climate and safety. Just 5.2% of the workforce was unemployed last year, and the homicide rate, 1.4 per 100,000, was lower than every state except New Hampshire. Iowa residents also had the benefit of a productive renewable energy sector, with greater production of renewable energy than all but 2 other states as of 2012. The majority of renewable energy output came from 476 trillion BTUs of biodiesel produced that year, which was more than any other state. 3. Vermont. Greater than employment rate, 79.0%, 3rd highest. Greater than household disposable income per capita, $30,102, 21st highest. Greater than homicide rate, 1.39 per 100,000 people, 3rd lowest. Greater than voter turnout, 63.3%, 22nd highest. Vermont is among the nation's leaders in several well-being measures. State residents are exceptionally well educated. Nearly 92% of Vermont's workforce had completed at least secondary school last year, nearly the highest rate nationwide. Vermont was one of a handful of states to receive a close to perfect score for housing. With more than 3 rooms per person, homes tend to be more spacious than those in any other state. Additionally, just 7.2% of residents lacked health care last year, less than half the rate for all Americans, and lower than all but one other state. Based on a recent survey by Gallup, Vermonters are also the most likely Americans to exercise regularly and consume fresh produce daily, which further contributes to the population's good health. 2. Minnesota. Greater than employment rate, 77.3%, 6th highest. Greater than household disposable income per capita, $32,256, 9th highest. Greater than homicide rate, 1.68 per 100,000 people, 4th lowest. Greater than voter turnout, 73.2%, third highest. Minnesota is one of the top states in the nation by a range of well-being metrics. Notably, the state was tied for second best with Vermont for education, as nearly 92% of the labor force had at least a high school diploma. Minnesota was also a top state for health, with a mortality rate of 7.5 per 1,000 residents and a life expectancy of over 81 years, both among the best nationwide. Per capita household disposable income was also quite high at $32,257, ninth best nationwide. Census Bureau figures also indicate Minnesota compares favorably with other states in ensuring residents are living well. The state's poverty rate of 11.2% was among the lowest nationwide in 2013. 1. New Hampshire. Greater than employment rate, 77.0%, seventh highest. Greater than household disposable income per capita, $34,208, seventh highest. Greater than homicide rate, 1.11 per 100,000 people, the lowest. Greater than voter turnout, 69.4%, tied, sixth highest. New Hampshire scored better than any other state for quality of life. No state had a lower homicide rate than New Hampshire, where there was just barely a single murder per 100,000 residents. Additionally, New Hampshire was also the top-ranked state for accessibility of services, with 79% of households reporting they had access to broadband, the highest in the United States. Further, New Hampshire ranked among the best states in most other measures considered by the ACT. The Granite State also had the nation's lowest poverty rate in 2013, according to the Census Bureau, at just 8.7% of all residents.